What's going on, Hammer Zone? This is Eric Rhodes, Director of Performance. The subject I want to talk about is where athletes should start in the weight room. A lot of times athletes at a young age start in like a maximal strength emphasis, and that's not always the best place where you should start. So looking at training years for a beginner athlete, we're looking at about 0 to 2 years in the weight room. Obviously, there's a play with that. Some athletes progress a lot quicker than others. That's fine. And we're looking at a training emphasis for a beginner athlete. We're looking to have them in more hypertrophy style environment and a basic strength style environment. Probably more towards this than anything else, as getting bigger is a huge proponent when you're starting out your strength and conditioning journey. When looking at rep schemes, right? If we're in a hypertrophy range, we want to be in that 8 to 12 rep scheme. If you're doing more basic strength, 4 to 6 reps, where the intensity, meaning weight on the bar, is increased. So if you're an intermediate level athlete in the weight room, you're looking at 2 to 5 years of experience. Your training emphasis at that point, still a lot of hypertrophy, but we can start getting you to a little bit more basic strength, taking a little bit more time in that emphasis, and then having a little bit of introduction to maximal strength. You're at that intermediate level, you're more readily equipped to handle those maximal intensity loads. And the rep scheme, hypertrophy stays the same, that 8 to 12. The strength stays at 4 to 6. And then now, once we get into more of that maximal strength, we're looking 1 to 3 reps. So then we have advanced here, 5+ years of training experience. At that point, you've probably maxed out a lot of your hypertrophy potential. So when that happens, we don't need to spend as much time on that in the weight room. So really the emphasis of your training at that point goes to strength and maximal strength, and we can really start implementing power. And when I'm talking about power, right, there's a number of components that come with it. One is maximal strength, high level of forces. And then we also have speed strength, where speed is the emphasis, but we're still in that little bit of a strength realm. And then there's strength speed, which is kind of in between that speed realm and that strength realm. When we're looking at the rep scheme, right, for strength, still that 4 to 6, that maximal strength 1 to 3, and that power or strength, speed strength realm 1 to 5 reps. Last thing here to look at is prescribing percentages, right? So if you're in a hypertrophy training emphasis, we're looking at you to be at 50 to 70% of your max. If you're more on the beginner age, probably more towards that 50 to 60%. If you're more that intermediate to advanced, we can start getting you up to that 70%. Looking at strength, we're prescribing percentages for that, really that 75 to 85% range. Same thing if you're on the beginner level, lower end, 75%, might even be able to get a little bit lower than that, 70% to elicit strength. If you're more that intermediate advanced, we need to start getting you closer to that 85% range. And then we have max strength, 85 to 95%. If you're a beginner, lower end of that range, maybe even a little bit lower than that. If you're a little bit more shy of failure, if you're more intermediate and especially advanced, we got to start getting you to that 95% range, start really eliciting that maximal strength. So looking at more for like an advanced level athlete, even intermediate, if we're looking at power, there's 2 emphasis usually you want to spend a lot of time at is strength, speed, and speed strength. And looking at the percentage requirement for that, if you're in a strength speed emphasis, we're looking for you to be at 40 to 60% of your max. Really that, say, 1 to 3 rep range for that. We're still trying to move the bar with high velocities. That's why the rep scheme is low, and that's why the intensity is low. If you're in a speed strength emphasis, we're looking for you to be at 20 to 40% of your max. So really light, we're trying to move things ultra fast in this. So a program where we encompass all of these things that I spoke about is our high school and middle school program. We can really dive into the training age of the clients that we have into that class. If you're a beginner, you're gonna have a little bit more hypertrophy in your program. If you're intermediate, a little bit more strength and intro to max strength. And then if you're advanced, obviously it can get you more into that power realm. And remember, at Hammer Zone Sports, better your game.